Oh, hi. Let me adjust this. Hello. How you doing? So let's talk about why I'm having surgery. I'm so hot, so if you hear my fan in the background, deal with it. Woo. So hi, I'm Kai. Thanks for joining. Thanks for coming. Thanks for clicking on this video. I'm going to try to make this as short and sweet as I possibly can. I keep having to adjust this. Give me a second. Much better. Sorry for the glare, because I'm blind. Sue me. So, if you haven't watched my most recent last 3 or 4 videos, I talk about I'm getting surgery. I've recorded this video already before when the surgery initially was supposed to happen last month in April, but it got postponed and rescheduled, so here we are. So a little backstory of how I got here. So in September, October of 2018, I started having these really bad period episodes. Excuse me, and by period episodes, I mean like vomiting, nausea, either diarrhea or constipation, dizziness. I was feeling faint. That's the same thing as dizziness. Kai, get it together. I was feeling faint, dizzy, just like, it was almost like flu-like symptoms, I guess, like in a way. So this started in September, October of 2018, and it kept going until March of 2019. So at that point, I figured the cause of these things was me eating red meat too close to my period. So I stopped eating red meat in April of 2019 because I made a correlation that I was having these episodes when I would eat any kind of red meat or pork too close to starting my period. So I said, oh, let me not eat this, and then I won't have these episodes. So I thought. So I stopped eating. I came to this realization in March of 2019, and then I ate some hamburger in April, the next month of 2019, and I just got off my period, and I ate some beef, some hamburger, and TMI, but the only issue that I had were like really bad bubble guts. So after that, I completely cut it out. I was like, I'm done. This is causing me like horrible, it was just horrendous. So I stopped eating red meat, beef, and all that stuff. So chicken, turkey, and fish is what I stick to at this point. So I didn't have any more episodes until September of last year when I was in Georgia with my friend, and I do have a vlog on that if you want to watch it. So me and my friend went to Georgia last year in September, and when we were at the airport here in Detroit, I had some broccoli, and I believe that Brussels sprouts. I believe that the Brussels sprouts, the sauce that they were in, had maybe beef stock or pork stock in it, because I had another one of those episodes. So I was like, okay, and then usually these episodes last a day, and then I'm fine. So I had one of those episodes. The next day was rough, but it wasn't as bad as the night before. So I didn't have any more episodes from September until February this year. Bring on February of 2022. So typically, I've learned to manage my horrible periods with ibuprofen or edibles. Judge me all you want. Don't care, because they help me relieve my pain. Thanks. Next. So that's typically what I use. Is I take about 4 ibuprofen and then a small piece of an edible, because I used to be a lightweight, so I'm like, I need a little teeny tiny bit and it's good. And then I would like take a hot bath, and I would get out the bath, take a nap for hours, and be good. Because the first few days are crippling. But not in February, honey. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Oh, it was hell. Hell on earth. So I did all the fixings that I usually do, and nothing was working, and it was just progressively getting worse. So typically on my first day of my period, I don't have an appetite because I'm in so much pain and I'm bloated, and it's just, I can barely eat. And so that's typical, but it just was different, and I'm like, what is going on with my body? And like I said, I do the usual remedy that I typically do, and nothing was nothing was helping, nothing was alleviating any kind of pain at all. And I'm like, what is going on? So just a forewarning, this part going on is a little detail graphic detailed graphic detail. How I'm trying to say this. I'm gonna get in the nitty gritty. So I'll leave a timestamp for you to skip to if you want to skip over this part about how gross it's gonna get. So I hopped in the shower because usually that'll calm me down and help relax me. And it was like, and I don't know, I have to take, Jesus, there we go. I have to take boiling hot showers when I'm on my period. And so I hopped in the shower after trying all my usual things. And I'm in the shower and I'm feeling so weak. And I was just like, I was feeling nauseous all night and it just kept progressing and progressing. And while I was in the shower, I said, this is the place to be because I know I'm about to projectile vomit. So I'm standing there and just like trying to breathe and take deep breaths and woosah. And out it comes. It's flying in the shower. And I'm just puking my guts out, for lack of better terms. So I do all that. I rinse it down the drain. Judge me, don't care. What am I gonna do? Leave it in there? Gross. So I rinse it down the drain. I get out of the shower and I feel a little bit better. Just a teeny tiny bit. But it's just still, nothing's helping, nothing's working. And so this is one of the episodes that I would typically have when my periods were horrible before I stopped eating red meat. But at this point, I knew I wasn't eating red meat or anything like containing the juices or stock or anything like that. So I'm like, oh, something's not right. So I have my sister's roommate, because I'm staying at my sister's house this night, February 25th. It's about 9:30, 10 o'clock. I have her take me to the ER because I'm just like, and before I get into this part of the story, I've been in a lot of in and out of hospitals basically my whole life, so I am not someone who goes to the hospital unless I'm
dying, like on my deathbed.
Because I'm honestly pretty traumatized from hospitals growing up. But something in me was like, you need to go to the ER. And also because of the fact I have from September, October of 2018 until now, I've been in the hospital for these period episodes, and they're just, oh, follow up with your primary care. They typically don't do anything, so that was another reason why I was reluctant and hesitant to go to the hospital, because I'm like, it's just going to be the same thing. They're going to keep me there, give me a little bit of medicine, and just send me off my way after like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Thankfully, I did go in. I'm so thankful that I went in. I went in maybe around 10:15. She drove me to the hospital. She dropped me off, and I knew it was going to be a while, but I didn't know how serious it was going to get. So I just texted her because my sister lived close to the hospital, and I just said, you can just, my sister's roommate. I texted my sister's roommate, I said, you can just go home. I'm going to be here for a while. I can tell. If I need you, I'll have you come get me. So I get in triage, they do all the fixed things, and then they get me a bed. I'm in pretty quick, and they take me to the back pretty quick. So they do all that. I get into the back, they're asking me questions, what's going on, you know, they're doing all the stuff they're supposed to do. And I look at the nurse and I was like,
I need a bucket, because I knew it was coming.
oh, it's raining and I love it. Oh, I'm a spring baby, but I just love the rain in general, you guys. Hold on, look at this. Like, how can you not love this? Come on. Oh, I love it. So back to what I was saying, like I knew I was going to puke, so they give me a bucket and I'm just hurling. So then they give me medication that's supposed to help my nausea. Zofran? I want to say it's Zofran, but I could be wrong. I think that's a nausea medication. Y'all don't quote me, I ain't a doctor, I ain't a nurse, so don't come for me. So they give me nausea medication, and usually it works, I don't know, within like 15, 20 minutes. Not today, not that day, not on February 25th. Your girl just kept going and going and going. So they gave me more. Finally, it settles down, it calms down. And so at this point, maybe it's 11:30 at night, and they decide they want to do testing. So I'm like, okay, imaging, testing, blood work, all that good stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. So they order a ultrasound? CAT scan? Both, I believe. Yes, they ordered both. So we did all these things from like 11:30 at night until 12:30, 1 in the morning. They had me doing all these different things within that time frame. So the emergency that the emergency room that I went to was strictly an emergency. It wasn't like a hospital to where, like, I don't know if I'm making sense. Like, it was just strictly an emergency room. It wasn't like an emergency room attached to a hospital, if that makes any sense. So later on, I don't know what time it is at this point, but it's the 26th at this point. And the doctor says to me, I feel like something's going on. Rewind a little bit. He told me that I had an ovarian cyst on my left ovary, which I already knew that from back in 2019, but nobody did anything about it. And so I've known this for about 3 years. So he tells me he's concerned. And I'm like, okay. All right. So he says he wants to admit me, but then he's going to transfer me to a different hospital, like an actual hospital. So I'm like, okay. So they admit me, and then the next morning around, well, later that morning, on the 26th, around 6 or 7 in the morning, they transfer me to a different hospital. At that hospital, excuse me, they do an MRI. Now, I thought a CT scan and an MRI were the same thing. Child, please. The MRI is brutal, and only because, like, I'm not much of a claustrophobic person, really. So that part didn't bother me as much because I just kept my eyes closed and I just kept breathing through it. So I was fine with that. But you have to sit so still during the MRI. Because if you move, you're screwing it all up and you got to start over. And you have to lay there for an hour. Like minimum, I think. For me, at least. I don't know how everybody else is. But for me, I had to lay there for an hour. So my back, my butt, my hips, like everything's hurting like from the waist down because I'm so uncomfortable. And I asked them, can I adjust myself? And they're like, we really, 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 really need you to stay in this one position. Just hold off. And I'm like, at this point, I'm in tears because I'm just so uncomfortable. And like, I don't know if you guys have ever like laid or stood or like just been in a certain position for so long that you're really starting to ache. That was how I was starting to feel with this MRI. And it was starting to give me a little anxiety because I was in so much pain and I just wanted to move. So I'm like crying a little bit because it's just so uncomfortable just laying in this one position for so long. So finally the MRI is over and they're like, you know, we'll let you know the results of everything. So we're going to send you back to your room, yada, yada, yada. So I go back to my room and this is still the 26th. Either later on that day or the next day maybe. They tell me that I have something called an endometrioma, which is basically, y'all, I'm going to pop up the definition of what it is because I don't know how to explain it, but this is what it is. And I had never heard of that before, and I was like, is that endometriosis? And I think they said it's a form of endometriosis. So they're like, basically, essentially, you're going to have surgery. And this is why your periods are so bad. And I'm like, damn, like, I was actually relieved because after so long, from 2018 till now, I had just had these horrible periods and I thought it was caused by red meat and eating that, but truthfully, that was just a symptom of it, but not the cause, I guess. And so I'm like, oh, I finally have a name to something of what's wrong with me. Huh, that's good to know. So, I find the great team, Henry Ford, love them. Love Henry Ford. Love them. Really, literally lifesavers. So they said, oh, you know, you're going to have surgery sooner or later. But they didn't do surgery while I was in the hospital then because they didn't feel like it was like a life or like death thing. So they said, we're going to release you, but at some point down the line, you're going to have surgery. So I want to say March 28th. March 21st, they called me. Let me rewind a little bit. After that, I had a doctor's appointment on March 21st. That's what it was. With a new OBGYN team. Because the previous OBGYN that I had that diagnosed me with the cyst on my left ovary, to be quite frank, she didn't give a damn. So she didn't seem concerned, so I wasn't concerned. She said at the time it was 6 centimeters, I believe. I'll actually, if I can find it in my chart, I'll pop up how big it was in 2019, what it said. And basically, when I went to the hospital back in February, it tripled in size. So it tripled in size in 3 years. So when I initially found out, she didn't seem too concerned, so I wasn't too concerned about it. And I asked her, do you think I had endometriosis or anything like that? She's like, no, you don't. And I was like, oh, okay. She just completely dismissed me. So, fast forward, so March 21st, I go back to the hospital, back to a new OBGYN, and she tells me that I'm gonna get surgery to get this fixed. And I like just started bursting into tears because I'm like, finally, somebody is doing something about this. Now, before I keep going, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm not the best storyteller, okay? Be with me here. So, I didn't go to the doctor 2020, 2021 because of COVID. I was like, I'm okay. So, that's why things kind of came to a head the way they did now. So, March 21st, she's like, okay, you know, I think it's time that you have surgery, get this taken out, get this taken care of. I'm sobbing, tears of relief to finally have doctors that like take me seriously, listen to me, and actually care. So a week later, March 28th, they call me, your surgery is April 19th, 2 days after my 30th birthday. So I'm all excited, ready to go, all the good stuff, all the fixings, and then life happened and things came to a halt. So when I was in the hospital back in February, my blood sugar, because I'm a type 2 diabetic, my blood sugars were just out of control, out of whack, and they have been for a while, to be quite honest with you. The doctor told me, you're going to have to get this under control and checked before you get surgery. Kind of brushed her off. I was like, yeah, girl, whatever. Okay. Well, that came back to bite me in the ass because they ended up canceling that surgery. So when your doctor tells you something, you should try to listen to them. So they canceled my surgery April 18th, the day before it was supposed to happen. And because my blood sugars and everything was just not where it needed to be. It was at a 9. My A1C was at a 9, and I think they went below 7, 6 out of 5. Y'all, don't quote me on these numbers, but it was too high. A 9 was way too high. So I got things together. I really was like on grind mode to get everything together. So they canceled it on April 18th and they rescheduled it for May 27th. So I was like, I got a month. I'm going to do this. Like, I really want this and I really need this surgery. Fast forward, I got my shit together. Oh, yeah. Spirit fingers. If you know, you know. So I got it together. Everything's good. Surgery's tomorrow. I'm so excited. I'm going to be down for taking 8 weeks off because I'm not about to sit here and kill myself going back to work being a massage therapist, trying to stand on my feet for long periods of time. So I'm going to take my time getting back to work. So I'm going to be off for 8 weeks. Excuse me. And hopefully they're just taking just the cyst off my ovary. But they did tell me a possibility of having to take the left ovary and the left fallopian tube. And to be quite honest with you guys, I'm kind of expecting that to happen. I'm kind of preparing myself for that mentally, like having the worst case scenario as far as the left side. So I'm kind of mentally preparing myself for that to happen anyway. So surgery's tomorrow. I'm going to be at the hospital at the butt crack of dawn. Your girl is not an early bird. I'm going to try to record as much of tomorrow as I can in the next couple of days of me being in the hospital, but no promises because I don't know how I'm going to be feeling. So that's how we got here. If any ladies, if you suffer from endometriosis, adenomyosis, that word, if you suffer from anything like in the reproductive area, comment below, like this video, let's talk, let's have a discussion. Because I need somebody to relate to, because it feels so good to finally have an answer and to finally get something done. And I really, really want to say before I'm done with this video, advocate for yourself. If something doesn't feel right to you and your doctor's brushing you off and not giving a damn and then, oh, no, you're fine. No, baby. Nope. To hell with that doctor. Go find you another one. If the second doctor don't work, go find you a third one. Find you a doctor until you find you the right doctor. Like, do not give up on yourself. Don't give up on your health. Don't stop looking. Don't stop searching. There are doctors. There are teams. There are people out there who will give you what you need as far as your health. It might take a while, but you will get what you need if you put in the effort to find the right doctors and the right teams for you. I was on Twitter yesterday and I was just sobbing because some of the women on Twitter were talking about it took them 15, 20 years to get diagnosed. The fuck? Advocate for yourself, speak up for yourself, ask questions, do research, and if the first one don't work, there's a million one out there. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I love you. Thanks for sitting through this video. Subscribe, turn that notification bell on. I love you. Thank you. Come comment, relate, talk. Let's talk about our stories. Bye.